was talking to a good friend earlier this week, and I was saying how I've started thinking about doing a video on corruption and talking about exposing corruption, and a video series on corruptions exposed. Twilight Zone stuff. Not really, no, not going to get into so-called conspiracy theories or anything, but I wanted to talk about something that is super obvious. It's very, very common in our lives at the moment, which is about advertising, about marketing. And many people probably know, people probably don't know as well, that advertising does work. It's based on psychological understandings. It's based upon people's understandings of the mind, about how to manipulate people's minds, pretty much, about how to sell things to a person. So it's not necessarily serving the consumer, the person who gets sold the thing, who's getting advertised to. It's not necessarily serving your best interest when you're getting advertised to, when you're getting things marketed to you. The people who invest in advertising, they know that it works. They know that if they do an advertisement, that whatever money they've paid, that it makes a lot more money back than whatever the person has paid to do that advertising. And in fact, the people who offer for things to be advertised on their sites or on their channels, or like billboards or radio programs, wherever there is advertising, it's probably, I don't know anything much about this. I'm talking about stuff that I don't know that much about, but still I wanted to share my perspective as a psychologist on this. So if I get anything not quite right, or that it's inaccurate, just please bear with me. I'm just trying to help empower people and share education there, so it's not going to be perfect, but it's near perfect, and my intentions with it are wholesome. My intentions always with the science of the mind is to empower people, to give them the information and the knowledge and the education that they need to be able to make informed decisions about how are we going to choose happiness. We've got to know what creates happiness and how to reliably choose to put those causes in place, and that's totally what the science of the mind is all about. The science, the causes to put in place to get the results that we want in life, which for everyone pretty much is health and happiness. Everybody wants health and happiness and wants to be confident, wants to be able to live a free life, free to choose and be healthy and be unobstructed, not a life that feels disempowered, that feels like out of control and powerless and helpless. People want help, people want control, their fair share of control, their fair share of power. And knowledge is the way, like education is the way to help people to take power in their lives, to take a reasonable share of power that's not too much power, that doesn't take power from other people, take too much power, too much control, and thereby disempower other people. But this process of advertising, I figure that, I don't actually know about this, but I figure that they pretty much, the people who sell opportunities to advertise in certain locations or whatever, or if they've got a certain popularity, they can charge more money to the person who wants to advertise in that location, because they're saying, this gets good exposure. There's 5 million people who are going to be watching this ad, so you're going to have to pay more money because you're going to make more money out of this. So it becomes a money dynamic, And when people, I suppose I'm trying to bring the future to people, like a future perspective, the way that I feel like humanity will evolve in the future, which is in ways that are ethical, ways that are emotionally intelligent, that consider and think about and care about how what we're doing ourselves impacts other people, impacts animals, and impacts the environment. And the way I feel about it, I don't work for money, and I suppose that would be a big part of the science of the mind culture that I'm trying to share with people and spread to people, is that we shouldn't really work for money. That money is a bit of an artificial motivator. It's like a business negotiation, a business deal. Whereas when we just learn to give freely, like what I'm doing with the science of the mind, not charging any money for this, not looking to make any money out of it, just giving freely. There doesn't need to be any payment for that. There doesn't need to be any money transaction. We do it just because it's the right thing to do, because we care, and we get all the more share of happiness and health because of having that sort of a moral compass in our life. But what I wanted to share with you in this video is about the fact that a lot of advertising is not about serving you at all. It's a lot of the time it's about serving someone else. That the more sales that they get, the more money that they make out of you. So it becomes this just another episode in a culture in which people are taking, like people are consuming, and when it's advertising, the thing that's getting consumed is really you. You're a part of the supply. You're a part of the demand for something that someone else is trying to supply you with, and whether it's going to be something that's good for you or not, they're trying to market it to you. So they're trying to get you to want that thing. And whether or not that is something that's good for you, whether it's something that's healthy for you or not, advertising is marketing something to you. It's programming your mind, and it does work. I'll probably do more videos on advertising in itself, because there seems to be a lot to this as I'm talking it through. But I suppose the main point of this video is to reflect about what are we exposing our mind to, and I wanted to expose certain corruptions that are just normalized, that are so common that they're considered normal in our cultures at the moment in the world. I was talking about this topic of advertising with a good friend just yesterday, and actually just before I started filming this video, I actually subscribed to a YouTube channel that produced an ad that I felt like was a really good ad, but it's been criticised a lot. It's been criticised, whereas I feel like the ad was trying to give a voice to populations of people that have been victimised in the past. So it had like a protection, sort of trying to speak up to stop bullying and abuse happening in the world. And it was an ad from an organisation that was brave enough to actually do that, and I celebrated that. So I thought I'll actually subscribe to that channel because I support that. But interestingly, it's copped a lot of criticism, and a lot of people seem to have been finding flaws with the ad that's actually dared to speak up about some bullying and abuse processes. So this is what tends to happen still in the world, is that if you dare to speak up against abuses and bullying, that you just become another target for power groups to try to bully you. But this is a big part of the science of the mind training that I'm putting out there, is to say we need to be brave enough to stand up, to speak up whenever we can, to give a voice to those populations, those parts of life in the world that are voiceless.